The top 5 players in the NFL, as voted on by the players themselves, this is great. Lamar Jackson 1, Russell Wilson 2, Aaron Donald 3, Patrick Mahomes 4, and Michael Thomas 5. So what I've been told is I'm a Lamar Jackson hater, and that's okay. What I am in terms of Lamar Jackson, and he played great last year. And he won the MVP with the best team, and they played great football before they were beaten in the playoffs. And I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and go, hey, playoff games, you got to dominate those. You don't. You just kind of have to survive. Okay? But playoff games, not just what the final score is, but how'd you play, are a great sense of where you actually are. That's where the level of competition spikes. They were the 1 seed this year, the 1 seed at home against a prohibitive underdog, and they get beaten fairly handily, right? And could I say they're 0-2 in the playoffs because they lost at home to another underdog wildcard team last year in the LA Chargers? Sure, but I don't believe that's what the poll is about. I'm not going to hold 2 years ago's playoff game against the Chargers, where a guy who'd only started half the season was exposed, and they hadn't yet tailored the offense in terms of personnel to exactly what they wanted to do. Some of that caught teams by surprise, not the Chargers, they played twice, but some of it did. But some of it, let's just be fair, it was his first season starting. This is his second. He was the MVP of the league. He played poorly. They got down, and as is the case generally with the way in which they play football, they're not a team that's going to come back from big margins. Lamar Jackson, in those 2 playoff games, only 51% completion percentage, 3 TDs, all of them in the second half, and late when down, 4 fumbles. I don't know, though, how you could possibly put anybody other than Pat Mahomes as number 1. Now, look, the players, I'm sure, are sitting there going look, this dude's a freak. He's the fastest dude we've ever tried to tackle, and their offense is so different, so unique. It's fun. It catches people off guard. That dude's throwing lasers here, there, everywhere. You got us backpedaling. There's a respect for the Ravens and a respect for Lamar Jackson that I get. But we're doing this thing again. 2016, Cam Newton was voted number 1 in the same poll. His team went 15-1, and they lost in the Super Bowl. But what did we see in that Super Bowl? I mean, even in the playoffs, he didn't play great. And the Super Bowl, he was atrocious. Atrocious. And it showed his limitations. And that Cam Newton season, I don't believe they played a team in the regular season that had an above 500 record. That's crazy, right? Soft schedule. Their defense was great. Their running game was great. They played downhill. There's a lot of similarities to how Baltimore is playing and what Cam Newton was able to do. Only Baltimore's done it even more so. And where Cam Newton's bigger, faster, stronger, Lamar Jackson's just quicker. I mean, it's almost unhittable at times until you get to the playoffs when you have to come from behind. I mean, look, this is a joke. Because if we're just saying, is Lamar Jackson great? And did he play great last year? And would common sense tell you that with more experience and without an injury, he gets better? Sure. That's a reasonable thing. But those same things apply to Pat Mahomes, who's only in his 3rd year, right? Or entering his 4th, his 3rd year as a starter. And unlike Lamar Jackson, he has won those playoff games. And look, he wasn't great in the Super Bowl until he needed to be. He wasn't great early against the Houston Texans until he needed to be. I mean, look, if not for one offsides call, he could have been in 2 Super Bowls already. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 2 years ago's playoff game is the determining factor. But it is a factor. It is a trend in that Lamar Jackson gets behind against Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season. They can't come back. Against the playoff teams, they can't come back. Pat Mahomes gets behind 24-0 to the Houston Texans. They were behind in every game in the playoffs, and they came back and won, obviously, every game in the playoffs. If that, he can make every throw, he can run, he's young. Yes, if you want to hold against him that his knee popped out, okay, who's more likely to get hurt based upon the way in which they play? It's Lamar Jackson. But we're doing that thing that players are doing, what they accuse media members are doing, or fans of doing, which is being prone to hyperbole and prisoners of the moment. The cover of Madden is perfect. Perfect, because he's a video game. Like, he does stuff that you can only do in a video game. But in the NFL, if you said, who are you starting a team with? You get one guy to start a team with right now. And he's not the first, he's not the second quarterback you take. And in all honesty, I think most people would take Aaron Rodgers third. Now, can you say he maybe has 15 more years left? Maybe, but that's never happened with a running quarterback, ever. It's never happened. My thing with Lamar Jackson is I do believe that because one of the reasons they're so successful is he's tremendous. And Lamar Jackson doesn't listen to the haters and say you're wrong. He listens to the haters or the guys who are the analysts that point out the negatives, and he tries to work on the things that he needs to get better at. He just does. And the Ravens put him in situations and positions where he can succeed. Like, okay, so that part makes him special, and he has special talent. But there are limitations to what he can do. He still can be wildly inaccurate for reasons. I guess it's footwork, and sometimes it's timing. I don't know, but the underneath throws and, little throws, the deep ball, he throws an incredible deep ball. But outside the numbers and some of that underneath stuff, in cuts, he's unbelievable. He just throws a laser. But we've seen this style of quarterback get banged up, get hurt, and then have to be more of a thrower. And that's when they get exposed as always having been able to run out of trouble. Russell Wilson, for example, is a guy who did run out of trouble, does some, but has evolved into the ultimate pocket guy who has great awareness, great athleticism, but can always keep his eyes downfield and throw the football. That's where you're going to be successful over a longer period of time. But maybe next season he proves that he's continued to evolve and continue to get better. But right now, like Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, who you taking? Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson, who you taking? Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson? Who you taking?